I'm going to explain why most people avoid the stock market because they think it's gambling. So there's this store called Craig's Cookies that opened up in Scarborough Town Center. I've walked past it many times now. The old me probably would have went and bought cookies there just because of the smell and, they look good, right? Maybe not actually. And I believe a cookie is like $3.25 and it's like this big, okay? The thing with that is most people will walk by, they'll smell the cookies, they'll see a bunch of people waiting in line to buy the cookies, and they'll buy the cookie. But and I'm sure it tastes amazing, you know that you can get cookies anywhere, right? You could buy cookies anywhere, you could bake them at home for a fraction of the cost per cookie, but you still buy it and you eat it, right? If you're craving something sweet, if you want some sort of baked good, you will still buy it and you'll eat it. And that's very similar to how people treat the stock market. So you know that it's an overpriced cookie, but you're still going to buy it and eat it. In this scenario, it's $3. It's not going to kill you. You're not really going to regret it. You'll probably never buy it again because you figure, I guess, for $3 is probably not worth it. For them to even open up, I mean, it means that people are paying ridiculous premiums for sweet things, right? Now let's look at the stock market. So when it comes to the stock market, people don't know what stocks are worth. The average retail investor or person new to stocks doesn't really know. The majority of the time has no idea what a stock is worth. They see that a particular stock is going up. Majority of the time this ends up being a penny stock and someone tells them to buy it because it's going to keep going up, or they got in and they're going to make money and it's like a casino or whatever. More often than not, they lose money. They never go back to the stock market ever again and they're done. They're out. What's the difference here between the two scenarios? You clearly know that maybe you don't, but you clearly know that the cookie's overpriced and you buy it and you eat it and you probably never buy it again. But yeah, anyways, just an example, the cookie, you obviously know what it's worth, but you buy it anyways, or a lot of people like me would just be like, okay, that's way too overpriced. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not paying for that. Whereas with the stock market, you don't know what the company that you're investing in is worth. You don't even know anything about the company. You just buy property because somebody told you that, hey, it's a great investment and it's going to go up. No. When you buy property, you look at location, location, location. You consult an expert. You look at the structure of the property. You do the numbers. At the very least, I'm probably missing a bunch of things, right? But obviously, yeah, the numbers are very important. Now, you do all that work because it's a really big investment decision. I guess with stocks, people just dump in a small amount of money so they don't think it's as big of a deal, versus with their house is your biggest purchase of your life. Your entire life savings essentially is going in as a down payment. It's just weird, right? Like with the stock market, people just are willing to take a chance and gamble. What happens is people buy a stock, they don't know what it's worth. They don't know that it's overvalued or mispriced. It's not a mature company. It is not a blue chip stock. A blue chip stock meaning has been around for many years. It's consistently profitable. It's consistently growing revenue. That's a blue chip stock. It's a household name. If it is a blue chip stock, then more often than not, in the long term, you're probably going to do okay. But a lot of the times it is penny stocks that people get into because they move the most, because they're the smallest in terms of market cap. They don't really know what it's worth, of course, right? They get in through word of mouth and kind of like GameStop and all that stuff, right? They lose their money and they stay away from the stock market forever, and they leave a whole lot of money on the table just by having that bad experience. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to buy a stock, just realize that business is worth something at that point in time, and you need to know what it's worth if you want to make money on it. If not, there are index funds. There are baskets of stocks that are compiled together that spread out your risk over the long period of time. You'll do fine. Look up VFV, look up VEQT if you're in Canada. Look up VDY if you want dividends every single month, a high yield dividends. Exposure to the big Canadian banks, you got Bell Canada, Enbridge, Suncor, etc. But just remember, just like any consumer good or food that you're buying, when you're buying a stock, it's the same thing. What you're buying has a particular value. It's a business. It has a particular value at any given moment. There are formulas, not just some person on YouTube, but there are formulas that you can figure out what the stock is worth today and what is a good price to pay for it today. And if you pay too much for a stock, you may never break even, potentially. there is that chance. If you pay too much for a blue chip stock, you may not earn returns for many years. Keep in mind, the top stocks, they could be overvalued, but they are also going to grow the most over a long period of time. Things like Craig's Cookies or candy stores that are overpriced or anything like that, vending machines that are overpriced, it's more reliance on the ingredients that are in the food and the sugar and all that. That's going to get people hooked. When it's a stock market, I feel like it's greed that's getting people hooked, and people are paying these ridiculous prices for stocks that they have no idea how to value. Versus consumer goods, regular food that we can find anywhere, we know it's very simple to understand. But just keep in mind that, like that's why you think that the stock market is gambling. It's not because it's actually a casino. It's just that you're uneducated, you had a bad experience. There is ways to responsibly take advantage of the stock market and make money. See you guys in the next one.